So the foldable phone market has always been kind of a weird place. There was a lot of hype in the beginning about foldable phones and people were genuinely excited for them, but it wasn't long before people started to realize that foldable phones came with a lot of drawbacks. And that's what raises the question in today's video is why are foldable devices still not mainstream even after 3 years? I think we can partly blame Samsung for that because Samsung was actually the first company to introduce foldable devices, and it did so in a manner of just making sure that it made its name in the market as the first company that made foldable devices. Because of Samsung, other companies started to race towards the foldable market. For example, companies like Oppo, Pixel, Motorola nowadays, and I think the latest to come out is OnePlus, which is also rumored to be coming with a foldable device in the next few months. Every company wants to make a presence, especially after Samsung became the first company. So making a presence means that you have to sacrifice a lot of things and compromise a lot of things. This is one of the reasons why you don't see Apple actually coming out with a foldable device or with any technology that's already been out there for years. And people are often quick to criticize Apple for not introducing technology or introducing technology later down the line. And that's because Apple usually likes to learn from other companies' mistakes. Apple is a clever company. So what it does is it watches the competition very closely. It learns from their mistakes and then perfects that. So a lot of people will criticize Apple, but at the end of the day, when Apple comes out with a specific technology, it's either perfected or it's very unique in its own way. I'm not saying that foldable devices will not stick around. They are going to stick around, but they're not going to go mainstream unless these companies focus in some areas where they lack. And in this video, we're going to discuss the top areas where foldable devices lack and what they need to do in order to improve them and make sure that they are mainstream in the coming years. First and foremost is the price. I mean, foldable devices are not cheap, and I think everyone already anticipated that even before they came out. But a few years back, if someone was to tell you that you most likely have to pay nearly $2,000 for a foldable device, and you wouldn't believe it. Nowadays, phones are, in general, if you're looking for a flagship phone, starting from $800 to $1,000, and foldable devices actually even jump that. So they go up to $2,000, and I believe Huawei's foldable went up to $2,800 if I'm not wrong. I mean, the Samsung foldable, in the start, it came at around $1,800 or $1,900. And even right now, if you want to buy, for example, the Magic VS, that also goes up to $1,800. So $1,300, $1,500 is usually the amount that you'd have to spend on a foldable device, which is very high. And there was even a poll where they asked what the number one reason was for not buying a phone. And the number one reason, surprise, surprise, was the price, obviously. So these companies really need to revise their pricing, and I think Samsung is going to start doing that with the Galaxy Z Fold 5. That is one of the latest rumors that we have about the Galaxy Z Fold 5 is that the price is actually going to be reduced so that it can compete with the market. I mean, in the beginning, I understand there's a new technology and there's always a higher price attached to it, but then the thing about technology is that it starts to get cheaper the more we improve, and that's basically the beauty of it. The second area where phones lack is the display, specifically speaking about the inner display. So obviously, because the inner display has to fold, it is made of a thinner sheet of glass, and that means that obviously it's not as strong, it's going to break easier, or it's going to start showing defects. And I think we started seeing defects in the first generation of the Galaxy Z Fold, where people started to break the glass just by using it with their hand, or just if they were using a normal stylus, the glass would break. So Samsung even actually introduced a specific stylus or S Pen that was specifically made with a softer nib for the Galaxy Z Fold devices. The gap is a big issue as well for a lot of users, especially talking about Samsung, because Samsung is the only company that still really hasn't figured out the gap when you fold the phone. It still has a gap in the middle that avoids the display from fully closing or fully bending to a point where it's about to break. But other companies like the Honor VS, which I recently reviewed on my channel, if you want to go watch that, you can. It actually fully closes and it's a more compact design. I'm not sure why, but Samsung, even with the Galaxy Z Fold 4, which is the latest foldable from them right now in the market, still comes with a gap which they need to work on. Talking about the gap and the display, the crease is also an area that we still face a lot of backlash when it comes to foldables, and that's because obviously the crease is not a pretty thing. It looks hideous when the phone is in the unfolded state, and not only does it feel really bad when you're swiping your finger on top of it, but it actually looks like a defect. But I think we're just too early right now in the stage where companies are trying to figure out how to create a display that doesn't show a crease in the folded or unfolded state. Foldable devices are also not known for having good resistance, so IP resistance or dust resistance in specific is an area where they lack. And Samsung seems to be the only company where it has actually IPX8 water resistance. But when it comes to dust, that's the area where Samsung, as well as other companies like the Honor VS, really lag, because the hinge is new technology that has been recently introduced and it's still being perfected, especially if you live in an area like the UAE where you're often surrounded by sand. If you go to the beach, or even if you go, let's say, to a barbecue in the desert at night, even a grain of sand is gonna break your phone, or it's going to be as good as dead. The hinge is, I believe, most likely the biggest area where every foldable company is still struggling. Aspect ratio and applications are also an area where we need to massively improve. So the user interface usually does not comprehend with the aspect ratio of the device in the unfolded state, obviously because it is a bigger display, it has a different aspect ratio, so a lot of applications, a lot of user interfaces do not match it, and a lot of applications are not up to date. That's not a fatal flaw. I think we're going to get there as soon as foldable devices start to go mainstream, but for the moment it's still an area that needs to be improved. Coming back to the hinge, which is the biggest area where every foldable company needs to improve, because the hinge has so many moving parts. The more moving parts you have, the more chances you have of it malfunctioning. And not only is it a complicated area, but it actually takes up a lot of space. The last point that I have in this video, which is the battery life. So looking at a foldable device, it's obviously a bigger device, so you naturally think that this would come with a bigger battery, but it's actually the opposite. Because of the bigger hinge, you have to compromise a lot on the battery, and having a bigger display, a brighter display, is already something that's going to drain your battery more. And then on top of that, having a smaller battery is not really something that goes well together. As I said in the beginning, I'm not saying that foldable devices are not here to stick, but there's a lot of debate about foldable devices. A lot of people hate them, a lot of people love them, and just wanted to do a quick video about the area where foldable devices lack and where they actually need to improve. If you're excited about foldables, OnePlus is coming with a foldable device, which I personally am most excited about because I really like OnePlus devices, and I'm excited to see what they actually come up with. And then we also have, I believe next month in July 27th, I think, is the Galaxy Unpacked event, which is going to also unveil the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and the next generation of the Z Flip. So I'm excited to see what improvements we have. So hopefully some of these areas are actually worked on, and we can now start to finally say that foldable devices are something that are worth considering if you're in the market for a new device. I'm also excited about foldable phones. I'm really eager to get one. The only thing that really stops me from getting one is the price, and then a lot of different drawbacks that make me want to wait until we get to a technology where it's a little bit more reliable, at least. So anyways, guys, just a quick video about foldable devices and the question as to why foldable devices are not mainstream, at least not yet. Let me know what you guys would like to see in upcoming foldable devices, and let me know what's stopping you from getting a foldable device. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.